Hey guys, this is just kind of something I wanted to do today to see how long you need to study for a CLEP language exam and try to explain where you need to be at. Now, for a CLEP language exam, this is something I really want to point out is you do not need to be studying for 2 weeks like a normal exam. You want to be studying much longer than that. And remember, as I said, a normal test you want to study for a couple weeks. And unless you, I don't know, have like a mental issue, you're not going to be able to learn a language in 2 weeks.
We love languages so much that we decided that as of tomorrow, we're going to do the unthinkable and we're actually going to learn Turkish in 1 week.
Are you crazy? Are you out of your mind?
To be honest, this is one of those things you kind of want to study casually while you're working your way through your other exams. Say it's going to take you about a year to do all of them. I would recommend starting studying for the language exam before you even do any of the other ones and then take it at the very, very end. This is one of those things where the reason why I really recommend this is for a couple reasons. One, it's 12 credit hours. If you pass with the higher score, some places even accept it up to 16 credit hours, which is over a semester of college. So I don't know why you would do it. No, I don't know why you wouldn't do it. Oh, God. Anyway, a good place that you want to be at so you know whether or not you're ready for a test is it's called the Common European Framework of Reference for Languages, or CEF for short. And this basically breaks your learning a language down into 3 different categories with 2 subcategories in each one. So you have A, B, and C, A being basic users, B being average, and C being completely proficient or advanced users. And each of those has its own separate level within it. So A1 is you can get really basic phrases, and C2 is you get really advanced stuff. I'll go into the details right here. So yeah, A1 is considered the breakthrough level of a language, and at this level, it's going to take about 60 to 100 hours of studying to get there. Basically, what you need to do is get to about 500 words learned with some basic grammar and vocabulary, or not vocabulary, but basic grammar with your 500-word vocabulary. Basically, you can understand and use pretty much everyday expressions or basic phrases. You can ask directions, where you live, your name, basic stuff like that. After that, you get to the A2 level, which is quote-unquote the elementary level, which takes about 160 hours to 200 hours, which is where you want to learn 1,000 words. So if you want to know a rough scale for all of these with your words, A1 is 500, and then you basically just double it from there. So 500, 1,000, 2,000, 4,000, 8,000, 16,000, and so on. But that takes about 160 to 200 hours. You can basically understand frequently used expressions, and it's not super complex. You can hear basically if you hear somebody talking on the street about where they're going and stuff like that, you can understand them perfectly and not perfectly, but pretty well. To get to a B1 level, you're going to want to be it's quote-unquote the intermediate level, but that's going to take 360 to about 400 hours to get to, which is going to take, you're going to want about 2,000 words in your arsenal there. You can basically understand bigger issues when it comes to work, school, business, stuff like that. You can text with people on a pretty basic scale. You can, I don't know, it's more stuff like that. You can easily travel to that area where the language is spoken and just walk around and talk with people. Then we'll move on to B2. B2 is what you would consider the upper intermediate, which is about 560 to 650 hours or 4,000 words. At this point, you can understand the main ideas of complex text, abstract concepts. You can you could have not a fluent necessarily conversation, but you can seem as if you're fluent. You can have full conversations with anybody and just talk. You can talk, or you can write in detailed text and so on and so forth. C1 and C2 both, they're a bit different. One's 8,000 words, is the C1, and then the other one's 16,000. C2 is basically that you have this thing nailed. You can talk to anybody. You don't have any real questions about words or anything like that. This is pretty much getting to C2 requires a lot of time in these other countries, and a C1 is just it's in between being able to have pretty much fluent conversation and being a business speaker. It's it's really hard to kind of explain a C1 level because it's it's not like you have that many more advantages at a C1 level over a B2 or a C2. Besides, you can have full business conversations at C2. Now, typically, if you're going into the business world, you're going to want to take the actual official test. But for all intents and purposes of CLEP exams, I would go look into my description. I've posted a few different tests that you can actually take down there, which I would highly recommend just testing just to see where you are so you can gauge it before you actually go and take the test. For a CLEP test, you're going to want to try to be at a B1 to a B2. I would say B1. If you're going to pass, you're going to pass barely. I took my German test twice, and the first time I took it, I was barely at a B1, and the second time I took it, I was roughly, according to these tests, at a low B2, high B1 range, and I passed by about 7 points. So I would recommend trying to get to the B2 level if you can with these languages before you try it, because the first time I passed, or I didn't pass by 1 point, and that was just that one little point would have pushed me over the edge. Got to aim for that B2 level, so that's it's 4,000 words you want to aim for roughly. About 2,000 to 4,000 words I think should cover you pretty well. Try to get to maybe like 3,000, which is going to take, according to this, it's going to take roughly about 600 hours of studying. I would say probably closer to like 500. But if it's the 600 hours, that's about 30 minutes a day for the first, I would say, 6 to 7 months. And then once you start getting closer and closer to the test, I would recommend studying how you would study for any of the other exams, 4 to 5 hours a day, something like that, depending on what you're aiming to do. 4 to 5 hours might even be excessive. I think there's only a couple tests I ever studied 4 to 5 hours a day for. To be completely honest, with this, you got to really have absolutely no fear. This is one of those things that should just be enjoyable. You're learning a language, which is really fun. Pick one of the languages you like. Don't go, oh, I should learn Spanish because it's the most useful. No, it doesn't matter. It's only useful if you can actually speak the language. And if you hate the language, you're never going to learn it. So pick a language that you like learning, and then that one's going to be the most useful because you're going to be able to speak it. So I think that's going to do it for this video. If you guys could, just please let me know what you want me to talk about. If you want me to make any playlists again, or if you want me to make a video on a specific topic, please let me know down in the comments. I'm always willing to go for your guys' ideas first, because at this point I have a list and I'm just doing random things on the list until somebody asks me, oh, can you do this? And then, yeah, I'll do that. And so, yeah, this is that. If you could, leave a like, subscribe if you're new, or if you're not new and for some reason you just keep coming back here and you haven't subscribed, I'd recommend subscribing. Just because. Also, if you have been here before, I would also recommend, if you could, just hit that little bell button just so you get a notification anytime a new video comes out, because for some reason with YouTube, they have this weird thing where your subscriptions don't come up on the homepage anymore. You got to click the little subscription button. Don't know why that is. I'm going to take a little minute here just to talk about my book real quick. My book is the One-Year Diploma. I'll put a link in the description. It is on Amazon. I mention it in a bunch of videos, but I'm going to put a little more time into it right now. The book is completely dedicated to helping fix this issue for anybody out there. Now, this channel is dedicated to that as well, and this is an absolutely free source for you guys. And I'm doing this on my own time and just giving it out there. But this book, I put a lot of time and effort in. I put actually more effort into the book than I have into this channel so far. Now, my book goes over things I don't typically talk about in this. It talks about what the college debt issue really is, and it goes into the specifics of that and why CLEP is such a beneficial thing. It gives you other sources as well, not just CLEP. It talks about DSST in there. It talks about Straighter Line and other sources like that. So if you are interested in that, it really helps me out because I do this absolutely for free. I don't have a big enough following and anything like that right now to be making an income from YouTube. So I have to be waiting that out until I actually can make more money from it. But at the moment, it would be great if you guys would like to go and get my book, or if you can't do that, maybe just write a review or something like that. I left the description down below. And one more public service announcement here as well. I would recommend telling anybody that you know about CLEPs, and I don't mean about my channel, I don't mean about my book, I mean about CLEPs. The U.S. government currently is requiring about $1.3 trillion U.S. dollars of loan debt. That is how bad the situation has actually become. People cannot afford college anymore when it's costing upwards of $120,000 just for the tuition to go to any random school pretty much. So we have to come up with a more viable solution, and it's not just, oh, get scholarships, because it's not guaranteed to work out. But with CLEPs, you have this ability. So I would recommend telling anybody about CLEPs that you possibly can. If that includes sharing my videos, which it should, it's going to benefit a ton of people. It'll benefit me as well, which is great. But I think in general, there is a big benefit to talking about this. It's so interesting too, because a lot of people have talked to me about this. It's amazing that nobody ever mentions CLEP test to anybody, as if it's this thing that doesn't even exist. So if you can, go and mention this to people, mention this to your friends. People trust their friends more than anybody else, and let's try to spread this throughout the entire country. Make colleges start lowering their prices. If they get enough students leaving college just because they can test out of it, they're going to start dropping their prices like crazy, because now they have to. It's either that or people can go test out of the school. I think it'll help a lot of things out there, and I think just telling anybody about that, if you want to share any of these videos on your Facebook page or any social media or anything like that, just mention to people that you know about CLEP tests and how they can help, be absolutely wonderful.